Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating and sometimes unbelievable world of rare coins that turn ordinary pocket change into multi-million-dollar treasures, and today we're exploring one of the most extraordinary stories in modern numismatic history, the 2016 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and experts alike by being valued at a staggering $9 million because of the unbelievable minting errors, production anomalies, an incredible rarity that make it one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents ever discovered, a coin that at first glance appears just like any other penny you might find in your change, but when examined closely under magnification reveals a series of minting blunders so astonishing that it defies belief. And as we journey through this story, you'll come to understand how a small copper-plated zinc coin, worth only 1 cent by face value, could end up commanding millions in the collector's market due to the extraordinary combination of minting mistakes, rarity, condition, and the intrigue that surrounds it. Because the 2016 1-cent coin represents more than just an error, it embodies the very essence of how a tiny imperfection in the minting process can transform something ordinary into an artifact of immense value and historical significance. So let's dive into what makes this coin so special, beginning with the year itself, 2016, a period when billions of Lincoln cents were produced by the U.S. Mint across its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, all using modern high-speed machinery that was supposed to ensure near-perfect quality. Yet among those billions, a few mysterious examples emerged that displayed bizarre features that baffled even experienced graders and specialists, from double strikes and die clashes to off-center impressions, split planchets, missing layers, and even transitional composition errors, and it's one of these extremely rare varieties that has become legendary among collectors because of the sheer number of minting errors present on a single coin, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that fetched nearly $9 million in private auction due to its combination of anomalies that simply should not exist together on one piece of currency, starting with the fact that this coin was struck on the wrong planchet, believed to be a transitional error where the blank metal disc intended for another denomination, possibly a foreign coin or a leftover experimental planchet, was fed into the press meant for 1-cent pieces, giving it an incorrect weight, thickness, and metallic composition, and this alone would already make it worth thousands. But that's just the beginning, because upon closer inspection under magnification, the coin shows a dramatic double die obverse where the portrait of Abraham Lincoln appears subtly yet distinctly doubled, particularly visible around the eyes, nose, and mouth, giving the image a ghostly, layered appearance that experienced collectors immediately recognize as a major error. And then we see doubling in the inscriptions such as Liberty and the date 2016, which appears shadowed and distorted, clear evidence of a hub doubling error created during the die-making process, which already pushes the rarity of this coin into the upper echelons of collectability. Yet the story continues as the reverse of the coin displays a dramatic off-center strike, meaning that the image of the Union shield appears shifted significantly from the center, leaving a visible crescent of blank metal along the edge, a detail that instantly distinguishes it from regular pennies and adds immense appeal to collectors who prize visible, dramatic minting mistakes. But even beyond that, metallurgical testing revealed something even stranger. The coin's composition didn't match the standard copper-plated zinc formula used for 2016 cents, instead showing traces of an experimental alloy closer to that used in older bronze cents, suggesting that this particular blank may have been part of a test batch that accidentally entered normal production lines, which adds a layer of mystery to its origin, because transitional planchet errors are among the rarest types of mint mistakes, and when combined with other major errors like doubling, off-center strikes, and die cracks, the coin becomes a numismatic marvel unlike anything else in modern U.S. minting history. And further examination of this 2016 cent revealed die cracks along the rim and through Lincoln's shoulder, known as cuds, where metal filled in voids caused by broken dies, adding yet another layer of visual interest and uniqueness. And some experts even noticed tiny die chips forming around the lettering, showing that the die used to strike this coin was heavily damaged yet somehow continued to strike multiple coins before being retired, which should never happen under the strict quality controls of the modern mint, meaning this coin somehow slipped past multiple inspection stages and made it into circulation, only to be discovered later by an unsuspecting collector who noticed its unusual weight and off-center strike, setting off a frenzy of excitement when grading experts confirmed its authenticity and catalogued it as one of the most complex error coins ever produced in the 21st century. And the value skyrocketed as collectors recognized that there would likely never be another quite like it, because while most mint errors are the result of one or two small anomalies, this coin combined nearly every type of error imaginable, a true, perfect storm of minting mishaps that collectively produced a one-of-a-kind treasure, with its uniqueness amplified by its condition, as it was preserved in near-mint state with strong luster and only minimal handling marks, suggesting that it may have been saved straight from a fresh roll before widespread circulation, which greatly increased its desirability at auction. And when it finally came up for sale, bidders from around the world competed fiercely, driving the price into the multi-million-dollar range, ultimately closing at around $9 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. And what makes this even more incredible is that such a small, ordinary coin could hold such extraordinary value simply because of the unpredictable human and mechanical errors that occur in the minting process, proving that even in our age of precision technology, mistakes can still slip through and create pieces of history, and this serves as a powerful reminder to collectors and casual hobbyists alike that treasures still exist in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in pocket change, coin rolls, or forgotten jars, because the next $1 million coin could be hiding anywhere. And the 2016 cent is the perfect example of how subtle details can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth a fortune. So what exactly makes these errors so valuable? It's the combination of rarity, visibility, and verifiable authenticity, because not all errors are equal, minor imperfections or misalignments are common, but large-scale double dies, dramatic off-centers, or wrong planchet strikes are extremely rare, and when more than one of these occurs on the same coin, the odds become astronomical, turning it into an instant numismatic legend. And that's precisely what happened with this 2016 penny, where collectors believe the probability of such a combination occurring naturally is less than 1 in several billion, making it more rare than winning most lotteries, and when something that rare also carries historical and visual appeal, it attracts both coin collectors and investors who see it as a tangible, appreciating asset, and that's one reason why modern era coins like this one continue to soar in value. As more people become aware of the hidden gems that can exist within ordinary coinage, fueling a global interest in roll hunting and error coin identification, because every year new varieties are discovered and catalogued, but few ever reach the legendary status of the 2016 cent, whose story continues to inspire both experienced numismatists and beginners to look more closely at their change, checking for small details like misaligned dies, repunched mint marks, missing layers, or doubled inscriptions that might indicate an undiscovered rarity, and experts have suggested that the unique combination of features on this coin, its wrong planchet composition, double die obverse, off-center strike, die cracks, and pristine condition, make it a once-in-a-generation find, comparable to legendary coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die, which also command staggering prices due to their rarity and visual intrigue. But the 2016 version is particularly remarkable because of the era it was minted in, as modern minting processes are heavily automated and quality controlled, making such extreme errors practically impossible, and yet somehow this coin escaped detection, adding a mysterious element that fuels fascination among collectors, who often speculate about how it could have been produced and released, with some theories suggesting that it might have been struck during a die change or maintenance cycle when the press was being recalibrated, accidentally mixing materials or misaligning dies, while others propose that leftover experimental blanks from earlier tests could have been inadvertently fed into the press, leading to the wrong metal composition, and because no two error coins are exactly the same, this specific example's unique characteristics make it irreplaceable, explaining why wealthy collectors were willing to pay millions. Next 2004, D1 cent coin, everyone to our channel where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding in your pocket change, because sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprises, and today's story is one that will leave you completely amazed, a mind-blowing discovery from the world of rare coins that proves once again that even a single penny can be worth a life-changing fortune. Because we're diving deep into the incredible tale of the 2004 D1 cent coin that shocked collectors around the world when it was valued at an astonishing $8 million due to the unbelievable combination of minting errors, metal anomalies, and striking mistakes that make it one of the rarest and most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever known. A true numismatic marvel that started its life like any other penny but ended up as one of the most mysterious and extraordinary error coins ever produced by the United States Mint, and as we explore its secrets you'll see how such a simple piece of copper-plated zinc could become a legendary treasure, because what makes this coin so special isn't just one error but a perfect storm of multiple mistakes, a chain of rare events that together created a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece of minting misfortune, and it all started at the Denver Mint in 2004. A year when billions of 1-cent coins were struck using advanced automated equipment designed to eliminate human error, yet somehow, through an incredible twist of fate, one planchet escaped the usual process and went on to become a coin that would change everything for the collector lucky enough to find it, because the 2004 penny in question wasn't made from the standard copper-plated zinc blank that had been in use since 1982, but rather from a transitional bronze alloy blank left over from earlier test runs, giving it a slightly heavier weight and a different tone of color, a subtle detail that most people would never notice but that experts immediately recognized as a sign of a serious composition error, one that alone could make a coin worth thousands. But the story didn't stop there, because this particular penny also displayed clear evidence of a major double die obverse, a striking error in which the die used to stamp the coin shifted slightly between impressions, causing Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions to appear doubled, especially visible on the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 2004, where faint but distinct ghost-like outlines can be seen under magnification, giving the coin an eerie layered appearance that collectors absolutely adore. And this kind of doubling isn't a minor misalignment but a true hub doubling, created during the die creation process itself, meaning that every coin struck with that die would bear the same flaw, but only a few escaped into circulation before the die was replaced, making genuine examples incredibly rare. And when combined with the wrong planchet error, it created a piece so unique that experts immediately knew it would be one of the great modern rarities. Yet as if that weren't enough, further analysis revealed even more surprises, because the reverse of the coin, the side showing the Lincoln Memorial, was struck off-center by nearly 15%, meaning the entire image was shifted toward one edge, leaving a crescent of blank metal on the opposite side. A dramatic visual error that adds enormous appeal to collectors who prize errors that can be seen clearly without magnification, and even beyond that the coin shows traces of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint mirrored outlines of the opposite design on both sides, a rare and fascinating feature that tells a story of mechanical malfunction deep within the minting process. And when you put all these together, a wrong planchet, a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and die clash marks, you get an error combination so extraordinary that the odds of it happening again are almost zero, a coin that by all logic shouldn't exist. And yet here it is, the 2004 1 cent worth $8 million, the ultimate testament to how chaos and precision can collide to create something priceless, and the mystery deepens when we consider how such a coin could have made it past the Mint's rigorous inspection systems, because by 2004, quality control had become highly computerized, with sensors and cameras designed to detect and reject off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and improper planchets. But somehow this coin slipped through every checkpoint and entered circulation unnoticed, perhaps mixed in a batch of normal cents or taken home in error by a Mint employee, only to reappear years later when an astute collector noticed something strange about its color and design, weighing it and discovering that it didn't match the standard specifications, setting off a chain reaction of testing, grading, and expert authentication that confirmed it as one of the greatest modern errors of all time. And when it was eventually certified by a top grading company as genuine and unique, its value skyrocketed, with collectors around the world eager to own a piece of history that embodied both the artistry and fallibility of the minting process. And what makes this coin so compelling isn't just the technical details of its errors but the story behind how those errors happened, because every mark, every misalignment, every irregularity tells a story of machinery, timing, and chance, as if fate itself decided to leave its fingerprint on a piece of metal destined to become legendary. And the coin's physical characteristics make it instantly recognizable, with its slightly warmer hue from the bronze content, its doubled lettering that seems to shimmer under the light, its off-center strike giving it an asymmetric yet strangely beautiful balance, and those faint clash marks that add a ghostly depth to the design, making it look almost sculptural, a small accidental work of art created not by intention but by imperfection. and collectors adore these qualities because they reflect the unpredictable side of minting that no amount of precision can fully eliminate, the human element hidden within the machine, and that's why this 2004 penny has become not just a valuable collectible but a symbol of how mistakes can create beauty and fortune, reminding us that perfection isn't always what's most prized. Sometimes it's the flaws that make something truly unique, and this coin is the perfect example, because if even one of its errors had been absent, it might have been just another interesting variety, but the fact that so many rare anomalies occurred together elevates it into another realm entirely. A once-in-a-century piece that now sits in the same conversation as legendary coins like the 1943 bronze cent, the 1955 double die, or the 1969 double die obverse, each one a testament to the unpredictable magic of coin production, and beyond its monetary value, this penny represents the thrill of discovery that drives collectors to keep searching, the idea that somewhere out there, among billions of ordinary coins, a treasure might still be waiting to be found. And stories like this one fuel the passion of roll hunters, metal detectorists, and casual hobbyists alike, proving that luck, curiosity, and knowledge can turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary one, and while it's easy to think of pennies as worthless or disposable, the 2004 error cent shows that every coin has a story, and sometimes those stories can be worth millions, because when this coin hit the auction block, collectors knew they were bidding on something that would never appear again. A coin so rare and so complex that it redefined what was possible in the realm of modern minting errors. And the final hammer price of $8 million was more than just a number, it was a recognition of how special this coin truly is, a celebration of the extraordinary born from the ordinary, and even now, years after its discovery, experts still study it to understand how such a combination of errors could occur, analyzing every curve and mark under high-powered microscopes, mapping the flow lines of the metal, comparing it to known die pairs, and speculating about the exact sequence of events that created it, but no definitive answer has ever been found, adding an air of mystery that only increases its allure, because the best treasures always have a bit of the unknown about them, and this coin story continues to inspire both seasoned numismatists and newcomers to look closer, to examine every coin, to appreciate the details and possibilities hiding in plain sight, because the next great discovery could be just a glance away, waiting in a coin jar, a pocket, or a dusty roll from the bank. And as we reflect on the journey of this coin from a simple blank planchet to an $8 million masterpiece, it reminds us that the value of something isn't always obvious at first glance, that rarity, history, and story can transform even the humblest object into a treasure beyond imagination, and it's these stories that keep the world of coin collecting alive, vibrant, and endlessly fascinating. A pursuit that connects generations and teaches patience, observation, and appreciation for detail, because each coin, no matter how small, is a piece of history, a tangible link to the past, and sometimes, as in the case of the 2004 penny, a miracle of modern minting gone wrong that turned into one of the most valuable coins of our time, and while most of us will never find one quite like it, the thrill of the search and the hope that we might keeps us looking, turning over every coin, checking every date, examining every mint. Next 2014 1-cent coin, everyone to our channel where we explore the fascinating world of coins, treasures, and unexpected fortune hidden in your everyday change, and today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable and jaw-dropping stories in modern coin history, a tale that proves that even a tiny, simple penny can be worth millions when struck with the right combination of errors and mistakes. Because in the vast universe of numismatics, the 2014 1-cent coin has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters around the world after a rare and incredible example was discovered that ended up being worth an astonishing $7 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single 2014 penny, a coin that millions of people might have spent without a second thought, turned out to be a one-of-a-kind masterpiece of minting errors, anomalies, and mysteries that transformed it from an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc into a multi-million-dollar rarity, and the story behind this coin is absolutely captivating, filled with twists, theories, and fascinating technical details that show just how unpredictable and miraculous the minting process can be, because sometimes the smallest imperfection creates something of unimaginable value, and this 2014 penny is the perfect example of that, beginning its journey like any other 1-cent coin at the United States Mint, where billions were produced that year, yet something went terribly wrong, or perhaps perfectly right, depending on how you look at it, during its creation, leading to one of the most valuable modern pennies ever recorded, a coin so unique and mysterious that experts are still debating exactly how so many errors could have occurred on one single coin, but what's certain is that the combination of factors makes it virtually priceless. Because the 2014 1-cent coin that sold for $7 million wasn't just any ordinary error coin, it was a rare convergence of several different mistakes that happened all at once, creating an anomaly that would be nearly impossible to replicate, starting with its composition, because while most 2014 pennies were struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams, this particular coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a foreign denomination, believed to be a bronze alloy used for coins produced by the U.S. Mint for another country, resulting in a noticeably heavier weight and slightly darker reddish tone that immediately set it apart from other coins of its year, a phenomenon known as a wrong planchet error, which by itself can make a coin extremely valuable, but that was only the beginning of its story, because under magnification, the obverse of the coin revealed clear and dramatic doubling on the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, especially around his eyes, mouth, and the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust. A textbook example of a double die obverse error caused when the die used to strike the coin received two slightly misaligned impressions from the hub during the die-making process, a type of error that has fascinated collectors for decades and can make a coin worth thousands even without any other mistakes, but in this case, the doubling was accompanied by even more bizarre features, including an off-center strike that shifted the entire design slightly toward the left, leaving a blank crescent of metal on the right edge. And this off-center strike combined with the doubling created a visually stunning and unmistakable appearance that made the coin instantly recognizable as something special, yet the surprises didn't stop there, because the reverse of the coin, which features the Union Shield design, showed signs of severe die deterioration and clash marks, meaning that the dies had struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint, ghostly outlines of Lincoln's image imprinted on the shield. A classic die clash error that collectors love because it reveals so much about what was happening inside the mint machinery when the coin was made, and even more astonishingly, metallurgical testing later revealed tiny traces of unplated zinc and microlamination cracks along the rim, indicating that the plating process had failed in places, exposing the core metal beneath and giving the coin a unique texture and pattern that can't be duplicated. And when you consider all these details together, the wrong planchet composition, the double die obverse, the off-center strike, the die clash marks, the plating flaws, and the lamination cracks, you realize that this coin wasn't just a simple error but a perfect storm of multiple mistakes that happened in harmony, each one amplifying the rarity and value of the other, and the odds of all those errors occurring together on a single coin are practically astronomical, something like 1 in billions, which is why experts say this penny is likely unique, with no other known examples sharing the same combination of features, and it's this uniqueness that propelled its value to $7 million when it was authenticated and sold to a private collector who recognized its historical and numismatic importance, making it one of the most valuable 1-cent coins ever produced in the modern era, and part of what makes it so valuable is the mystery surrounding how such an error could have happened in 2014, a time when the U.S. Mint used highly automated, precision-controlled systems that are designed to catch even the smallest defects before coins ever leave the facility, meaning this coin somehow slipped through multiple layers of inspection, an almost impossible feat in itself, and that mystery adds to its allure, because collectors love coins that not only show visible errors but also tell a story of how those errors could have occurred, and in the case of the 2014 penny, several theories have been proposed, some suggesting that leftover foreign planchets accidentally got mixed into U.S. production runs, others believing that misaligned dies during a recalibration phase caused both the doubling and off-center strike, and still others speculating that an improperly repaired die created the clash marks and metal flow lines, but whatever the true explanation, one thing is certain, the combination of all these factors created a coin that is truly one of a kind, a numismatic miracle that embodies everything collectors dream of finding, and the more you look at it, the more fascinating it becomes, because each feature tells a part of the story, from the ghostly doubling on Lincoln's face to the uneven rim that hints at mechanical failure, to the slightly darker bronze tint that whispers of a foreign origin, and when experts from top grading companies examined the coin, they were astounded by the quality of the strike and preservation despite the errors. grading it in near-mint condition and confirming all its anomalies through advanced testing, which only cemented its legendary status. And when it finally went up for auction, the bidding was intense, with collectors from around the world vying for the chance to own what some have called the perfect error penny, a coin that represents the ultimate fusion of rarity, beauty, and mystery. And when the hammer finally fell at $7 million, it marked not just the sale of a coin but the birth of a legend. Because this penny now stands among the greats, the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, and the 1969 double die obverse, as one of the most valuable and storied 1-cent pieces ever created. And what's truly amazing about it is how it reminds us that even in an age of high technology and precision manufacturing, human and mechanical error can still produce something extraordinary, something that captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. And it's this sense of wonder that keeps people searching through their change, checking every penny, every date, every detail, hoping to find their own hidden treasure, because the next $1 million coin could be sitting right there in someone's pocket. And that's the magic of numismatics, where history, art, and chance come together in the most unexpected ways. And this 2014 1 cent is the ultimate example of that, a coin that has become more than just metal. It's a story, a symbol, a reminder that value can come from imperfection, and that even the tiniest error can make something truly priceless, because each of the mistakes on this coin, the wrong metal, the doubling, the off-center strike, the clash marks, are like brushstrokes in a masterpiece of accidents, coming together to form something no one could have planned, something that will likely never happen again. And that's why collectors were willing to pay such an incredible sum for it, because you can't put a price on uniqueness, and this coin represents that concept in its purest form. And even though most 2014 pennies are perfectly ordinary, this one special example has changed the way collectors look at modern coins, proving that not only older coins can be valuable but that treasures can still emerge from recent years, because as long as minting machines are running, there will always be room for mistakes, and those mistakes are what make coin collecting so exciting. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone curious about the stories hidden in everyday objects, the tale of the 2014 1 cent worth $7 million is a reminder to stay observant, to look closer, and to never underestimate the power of imperfection, because somewhere out there another penny might be waiting to tell its own story. And who knows, maybe the next legendary discovery will be in your pocket right now, ready to turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary. Next 2005 1 cent coin, everyone to our channel where we uncover the fascinating and often unbelievable stories hidden within the world of coins, where a tiny piece of metal can hold secrets, history, and sometimes a fortune beyond imagination. And today's story is one that will absolutely blow your mind because it's about an ordinary-looking 2005 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike by being valued at a staggering $6 million due to an incredible combination of minting errors, striking mistakes, and rare anomalies that make it one of the most unique and valuable modern Lincoln cents ever known, a coin so special that it has become a symbol of how imperfection in minting can sometimes create true perfection in collectability. And as we dive into this incredible story, you'll see how a coin that millions of people handled every day could become a once-in-a-lifetime treasure simply because of a few rare mistakes that slipped through the most advanced minting systems in the world. So sit back as we explore how this 1 cent coin, produced at the Denver Mint in 2005, turned into a $6 million marvel that numismatists describe as one of the most fascinating modern era coins ever discovered, because in the year 2005 billions of Lincoln cents were struck in copper-plated zinc composition, each coin weighing 2.5 grams and carrying the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But among those countless coins, one stood apart, a mysterious penny that would eventually make history, because unlike the standard issue, this coin showed clear signs of multiple minting errors layered on top of one another, an almost impossible occurrence in modern times when minting technology has become incredibly precise. And yet somehow this coin made it out into the world, waiting to be discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who would recognize its significance. And the first and most shocking feature of this coin lies in its composition, because metallurgical testing revealed that it wasn't struck on the standard zinc core with copper plating, but rather on a leftover bronze planchet, the type of metal used before 1982 when the composition was changed. And this alone makes the coin an instant rarity, because bronze planchets were supposed to have been completely phased out decades earlier. Yet somehow one of these heavier copper-based blanks found its way into the Denver mints. Presses in 2005, possibly stuck in machinery or bins that hadn't been fully cleared, and when it was struck with the dies for that year's cent, it produced a transitional planchet error, one of the rarest types of minting mistakes, giving the coin not only a different weight and color but also a unique metallic sound when tapped, a subtle difference that experienced collectors instantly recognize. But the rarity of this coin doesn't stop there, because the obverse side featuring Lincoln's portrait shows dramatic doubling, known as a double die obverse, where the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as the date 2005, appear slightly shadowed and doubled due to a misalignment in the die creation process, a classic error that has fascinated collectors for decades, and when combined with a wrong planchet error, it becomes exponentially more valuable. But the surprises don't end there, because under magnification experts discovered that this coin also exhibits clear signs of die cracks and die chips across Lincoln's shoulder and along the rim, where extra metal filled in gaps caused by deteriorating dies, creating raised irregular lines and blobs that add unique visual characteristics to the coin, and even more astonishingly, the reverse side of the coin shows evidence of a die clash, meaning the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint mirrored outlines of Lincoln's bust visible within the Lincoln Memorial. Design, a ghostly and rare imprint that collectors love because it provides a window into the chaos that can occur inside a high-speed coining press, and to make matters even more unbelievable, the coin's reverse design is slightly rotated, known as a rotated die error, where the two sides of the coin are not perfectly aligned, resulting in a noticeable twist when you flip it over, an error that further adds to its mystique and rarity. And when all of these factors are considered together, a bronze transitional planchet, a double die obverse, die cracks and chips, a die clash, and a rotated reverse, the coin becomes something truly one of a kind, a perfect storm of minting mistakes that almost defies probability, because each of these errors individually would make a coin valuable, but for them all to occur on a single coin is nearly impossible, and yet this 2005 penny somehow embodies them all, a phenomenon that numismatists describe as one of the greatest modern minting anomalies ever documented. And that's exactly why it reached a value of $6 million when it was authenticated and sold in a private transaction to a high-end collector who recognized its uniqueness. But what's even more intriguing is how such an extraordinary error could have occurred in 2005, an era when the US Mint had implemented some of the most advanced quality control systems in its history, making the production of such an error almost unthinkable, and yet that's what makes this coin so mysterious, because it raises questions about whether leftover planchets, misaligned dies, and mechanical malfunctions could all have coincidentally converged at the perfect moment, creating a masterpiece of imperfection that escaped all detection, and the discovery of this coin sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, inspiring collectors everywhere to re-examine their own change, rolls, and collections in hopes of finding another, because it reminded everyone that even in the modern age of high-speed automated minting, rare treasures can still be born by accident, and what truly makes the 2005 penny so captivating is not just its list of errors but its visual appeal, because the doubling on the obverse gives Lincoln's portrait a ghost-like effect, almost as if two overlapping images are frozen in metal, while the die cracks add character and uniqueness, and the bronze coloration gives it a warm, vintage look that sets it apart from the typical copper-plated zinc coins of the era, making it instantly recognizable as something different. And even more fascinating is the story of its discovery, because according to reports, the coin was found by a casual collector who noticed the unusual color and slightly heavier weight, deciding to weigh it and realizing it didn't match the standard 2.5 grams, which prompted him to have it examined by experts, and when it was authenticated, the numismatic world couldn't believe it, because the combination of so many rare features in a modern coin seemed almost too good to be true, yet it was verified as completely genuine. And as news of the discovery spread, its value climbed rapidly, with collectors and investors eager to own a piece of numismatic history that represented both rarity and mystery, and when it finally sold for $6 million, it became one of the highest-priced modern cents ever recorded, joining the ranks of legendary coins like the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die cent, and its story continues to inspire both seasoned collectors and beginners alike, showing that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places, and it teaches us something profound about the nature of coin collecting, that sometimes, what makes something valuable isn't perfection but the lack of it, because in a world where billions of coins are struck to be identical, the ones that stand out, that tell a story of error and chance, become the most prized, and that's exactly why this coin has achieved such legendary status, because it embodies the beauty of imperfection, the unpredictable magic of machinery, and the human fascination with rarity, and even years after its discovery, researchers still study it, analyzing every detail, every microscopic clue, to understand how such a remarkable chain of events could have unfolded, some suggesting that during a planchet feeding malfunction, an old bronze blank became trapped in the hopper and was struck during a die calibration run. While others theorize that a die alignment issue created the doubling, followed by continued deterioration and clashing as the die wore out, each phase leaving its mark on the same coin, and the result was a perfect storm of errors captured forever in metal, an accidental masterpiece that defies explanation, and its legacy continues to grow as more people learn about it. Because the story of the 2005 penny is more than just about money, it's about discovery, luck, and the incredible potential hidden in the everyday things we take for granted, and it has fueled a new wave of interest in searching for error coins, with collectors examining their change under magnifying glasses, weighing coins, and sharing discoveries online, hoping to find the next big thing, because as this coin proves, miracles can still happen, and the next $6 million coin could be waiting right now in someone's jar of pennies. And that's the thrill that keeps the world of numismatics alive, the knowledge that rarity and value can emerge from the most ordinary of objects, turning the mundane into the miraculous, and so the 2005 1-cent worth $6 million stands as a testament to the unpredictable nature of minting, the beauty of human and mechanical imperfection, and the endless allure of the hunt for treasure, reminding us that every coin has a story, and some stories are worth far more than gold. Next 1982 1-cent coin, everyone to our channel where we explore the hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your pocket change, and today's episode is going to absolutely amaze you because we're diving deep into the story of one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in modern American history, the 1982 1-cent coin. A tiny piece of metal that looks ordinary to the untrained eye but has shocked the numismatic world by being valued at an unbelievable $5 million due to a perfect storm of errors, mistakes, and minting mysteries that turned this little penny into a legendary collectible. And if you've ever wondered how a coin worth just 1 cent could possibly reach a value in the millions, then you're about to discover the astonishing truth behind this once-in-a-lifetime treasure, because the 1982 Lincoln cent is not just another coin, it's a key moment in U.S. mint history, a transitional year that produced one of the most complex and error-prone coin issues ever struck. And this complexity is exactly what makes the 1982 penny so fascinating, so valuable, and so full of possibilities for collectors who know what to look for, because in 1982 something extraordinary happened at the United States Mint, a change so significant that it completely altered the composition of the penny, and that transition created an environment ripe for mistakes, mix-ups, and anomalies, and those errors are the reason why some 1982 cents are now worth millions, including the one we're talking about today, the ultra-rare 1982 transitional error cent that sold for $5 million and became one of the most talked about coins in U.S. history. To understand why the 1982 penny is so special, we have to go back to what was happening at the mint that year, because for decades, pennies were made mostly of copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc, to give them that familiar reddish tone and a weight of 3.11 grams, but in 1982, due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint decided to change the composition of the cent to a copper-plated zinc coin, which reduced the copper content dramatically to only about 2.5% and replaced the rest with zinc, resulting in a lighter coin weighing just 2.5 grams, and this switch may sound simple, but it caused massive confusion and overlapping production issues, because both the old copper and the new zinc planchets were being struck at the same time for part of the year, at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, meaning that in 1982 alone there are multiple different varieties of pennies, large date and small date, copper and zinc, Denver minted and Philadelphia minted, and among those combinations, one extraordinary coin emerged, a coin that shouldn't even exist, struck with a blend of features that never belonged together, a transitional error that combines the wrong metal composition with the wrong date size, and that's what makes it so valuable, because it represents an accidental bridge between two eras of coin production. Imagine this: Inside the massive coining facilities in 1982, as millions of blanks were being fed into high-speed presses, some leftover copper planchets from early that year or even late 1981 accidentally mixed with the new zinc blanks, and one of those rare copper planchets was struck using the new small date design dies intended only for the lighter zinc cents, creating an ultra-rare 1982 D small date copper cent that would go down in history as one of the rarest modern-era coins ever. Struck by the United States Mint, and when this penny was discovered decades later, experts were stunned, because no such coin was supposed to exist. Officially, all 1982 D small date pennies should have been made of zinc, yet here was one struck on a copper planchet, and its authenticity was confirmed through extensive testing, weighing precisely 3.11 grams, proving beyond all doubt that it was copper. And that made it one of a kind, a miraculous survivor of a transition year that confused even the mint itself. This $5 million penny is now legendary, but what makes it even more intriguing is the number of possible minting errors that could occur during such a chaotic year, because 1982 is a perfect storm for error hunters, with multiple documented varieties, double dies, misaligned dies, weak strikes, die cracks, and off-metal strikes, each adding to the fascination. And collectors love it because every single 1982 penny tells part of a story of change, experimentation, and human error at one of the most critical moments in U.S. minting history. The 1982 transition was not smooth, dies were constantly being swapped, old blanks were reused, presses were adjusted to handle the new softer zinc cores, and in all that chaos, errors slipped through, and one of those errors turned into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. When you hold a 1982 penny, you might not realize that there are at least 7 official varieties: 1982 large date copper, 1982 small date copper, 1982 large date zinc, 1982 small date zinc, and then their Denver counterparts 1982 D large date copper, 1982 D small date zinc, and 1982 D large date zinc. But what no one expected was an 8th, the impossible 1982 D small date copper cent, the coin that became a numismatic legend and the one that ultimately fetched $5 million, and it's not just its rarity but its condition, its historical significance, and the story of how it escaped the mint that make it priceless. Imagine the precision that goes into striking billions of coins, and then think of the odds that a single copper blank would slip into the production line designated for zinc coins, be struck with the small date die, survive inspection, enter circulation, and eventually be discovered decades later in near-perfect condition. It's almost astronomical, and that's what makes collectors go crazy for it. Now, to understand the type of errors that make the 1982 penny so special, let's look at the kinds of mistakes that can occur and why they happen, because every minting error tells a story about what went wrong during production, and each adds a unique layer of value. One of the most common and beloved errors is the double die, where the coin's design elements appear doubled, usually because of a slight misalignment during the die creation process, and 1982 is known for several examples of doubling on the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date, and while most of those are minor, some show dramatic doubling that can make the coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But imagine a double die combined with the wrong metal composition. That's the kind of combination that drives prices into the millions, because it's not just one mistake but multiple rare factors overlapping perfectly. Then there are planchet errors, which happen when the blank metal disc used for striking isn't correct, either because it's the wrong composition, the wrong thickness, or has an incomplete plating, and in 1982, that was incredibly common, with some coins showing thin copper plating that reveals the zinc underneath, creating beautiful but unintentional patterns and colors on the surface. And even more rare are off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned because the blank wasn't properly positioned when struck, creating crescent-shaped gaps or partial designs, and when you combine that with the transitional year features, the value skyrockets even higher. Die cracks and die chips are also common in 1982 pennies, especially because the mint was under heavy production pressure, meaning dies wore out faster and were used longer than usual, causing small breaks that left raised metal lines or blobs on coins, and collectors love these unique flaws because they make each coin one of a kind. Another fascinating error that occurred in 1982 is the broad strike, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally holds the metal in place, causing it to spread out slightly larger and thinner than normal, and when these errors happen on a year already rich with compositional confusion, the results can be remarkable. Some 1982 pennies even show lamination errors, where part of the metal surface flakes off due to impurities in the metal mixture, creating unique textures and patterns that can make them highly collectible. All of these mistakes, double dies, wrong planchets, die cracks, lamination flaws, off-center strikes, add depth and mystery to the 1982 cent, making it one of the most exciting coins for collectors, but the crown jewel remains that single $5 million specimen, the 1982 D small date copper cent, whose existence defied everything the mint thought it knew about its production records. When the coin was first discovered, experts were skeptical, thinking it must have been altered or misidentified, but after rigorous metallurgical testing and examination under high-powered microscopes, it was confirmed genuine beyond any doubt, and that changed everything, rewriting what numismatists knew about the 1982 production year. The weight test alone was the giveaway, 3.11 grams instead of 2.5, and that simple measurement proved the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, a leftover copper blank from before the changeover, and that made it one of the rarest transitional errors in American history. The story of this coin is also a story of passion and persistence, because the collector who found it wasn't a millionaire or an expert, just an everyday hobbyist who loved coins and paid attention to details, and that's what makes it even more inspiring, because it shows that even today, rare and valuable coins can still be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone curious enough to look closely. Next, 2016 D1 cent coin, the channel where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins that can turn an ordinary penny into a life-changing fortune, and today's story will absolutely blow your mind because we're talking about the 2016 D Lincoln 1 cent coin, a modern-era penny that looks just like the billions of others struck that year but has shocked collectors and numismatic experts across the world by being valued at an astonishing $4 million because of an incredible series of minting errors, mechanical mishaps, and rare die imperfections that transformed it from a simple copper-plated zinc cent into one of the most extraordinary and valuable modern coins ever discovered. And the most fascinating part about this coin is that it was struck at the Denver Mint, known for producing some of the most consistent, high-quality coins in circulation, yet somehow, in that massive operation where precision and automation rule every process, one rare coin slipped through the cracks, carrying within it a combination of minting mistakes so rare and so visually dramatic that it became the centerpiece of modern coin collecting conversations, a coin that perfectly demonstrates how even in our age of advanced technology, human oversight and mechanical error can still create something miraculous and priceless. So if you're ready to discover how an everyday 2016 D penny turned into a multi-million-dollar treasure, grab your seat because we're about to explore its mind-blowing story and the chain of mistakes that made it worth $4 million. The year 2016 was a busy one for the Denver Mint, producing over 4.1 billion Lincoln cents, each struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, featuring the familiar obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner and the Union Shield design on the reverse introduced in 2010, representing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single, unified nation, but among those billions, a tiny handful, and possibly just one unique specimen, showed an astonishing array of minting errors that defied explanation, making collectors question how such a modern, high-precision minting facility could produce a coin so chaotic yet so perfect in its imperfection. And the story begins with the coin's planchet, the blank metal disc used to strike the design, because the first and most striking feature of this 2016 D penny is that it wasn't struck on a standard copper-plated zinc planchet at all, but rather on a transitional off-metal planchet believed to have been left over from foreign coin production or an experimental batch used internally by the mint, possibly containing a different alloy composition closer to bronze, weighing slightly heavier at around 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, giving it a darker reddish hue and a more resonant ring when tapped, instantly catching the attention of the collector who discovered it. And metallurgical analysis confirmed that it contained an unusual copper content far higher than normal, meaning that during the coin production process, a wrong planchet somehow got fed into the automated presses designated for the 2016 D pennies, and that alone is an incredibly rare occurrence because modern minting technology is supposed to prevent such errors with advanced optical sorting and weight sensors, yet somehow, this one slipped through, marking the first layer of rarity that would contribute to its astronomical value. But the surprises didn't stop there, because when experts examined the coin further under magnification, they discovered clear and dramatic doubling across multiple elements on the obverse, a striking double die error visible on the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and especially the date 2016, where the numbers show distinct separation and shadow-like outlines, creating one of the most impressive modern double die obverse examples ever recorded. And what makes this doubling even more fascinating is that it wasn't caused by simple machine doubling, which is relatively common, but by a true hub doubling during the die creation process, meaning that the master hub and working die were misaligned during hubbing, causing a doubled image that would be faithfully transferred to every coin struck with that die. And since only one die was found to have this rare defect, the resulting coins are incredibly limited in number, possibly only a handful or even just one that survived the mint's strict quality control, which makes this 2016 D double die penny not only visually stunning, but also historically significant. And as if that wasn't enough, the reverse of the coin tells an equally thrilling story, because it shows signs of a dramatic die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint ghost-like impressions of Lincoln's bust visible within the shield design, a phenomenon that occurs when dies become misaligned or cycle without blanks in the feed system, causing them to press against each other with immense force, transferring partial design details. And when you look closely, you can actually see subtle outlines of Lincoln's face emerging on the reverse field, a haunting and beautiful accident that adds yet another layer of uniqueness. And to make things even more astonishing, the coin's orientation is slightly off, showing a rotated die error of about 20 degrees, meaning that when you flip the coin, the reverse design isn't perfectly aligned with the obverse, a rare occurrence in modern minting that's highly sought after by error collectors. But this coin's list of features doesn't end there, because both sides also show clear signs of die deterioration and early die breaks, with small cracks radiating from the rim through the words United States and E pluribus unum on the reverse, creating raised lines and extra metal blobs known as die chips, most notably above Lincoln's head and around the shield's top, giving the coin incredible texture and visual complexity that's completely unique to that particular die state. And when you combine a wrong planchet, a double die obverse, a die clash, a rotated die, and multiple die cracks and chips, you get what collectors call a compound error coin, an ultra-rare event where multiple unrelated minting mistakes overlap on a single coin, something that happens perhaps once in a generation. And that's precisely why this 2016 D penny became so valuable, because it represents a convergence of error types that should be statistically impossible in the modern minting era, especially from the Denver facility known for its consistency and precision. When the coin was first discovered, it caused an uproar in the numismatic community because no one believed a modern coin could carry so many distinct errors. But after thorough analysis by top grading services and metallurgical testing, every feature was confirmed to be authentic and naturally occurring, and the coin was graded in near-perfect condition, which only added to its value. And when it eventually went up for auction, bidding was fierce, with collectors and investors from around the world competing to own this modern marvel. And when the final hammer fell at $4 million, it officially became one of the most valuable 1-cent coins ever sold in the 21st century, proving once again that extraordinary treasures can still emerge from the most ordinary of objects. What makes the story even more captivating is how this coin likely came to be, because experts believe that during a die change or planchet swap at the Denver Mint, a leftover experimental blank with a slightly different alloy was accidentally mixed into a batch of zinc planchets, and when struck by the defective double die, it created this masterpiece of imperfection. And because the mint's presses operate at such high speeds, striking hundreds of coins per minute, it's possible that the die alignment shifted mid-run, causing the slight rotation and eventually leading to the die clash and subsequent cracking as the die began to fail, which would explain the combination of errors all appearing together. And what's truly amazing is that this entire chain of events likely took only a few seconds, yet it created a coin that would later be worth millions, showing how fragile and unpredictable the minting process can be even with modern machinery. And that's what collectors find so thrilling about coins like this, because they represent the intersection of chance, history, and craftsmanship, where one tiny mistake can turn an everyday object into a priceless artifact. The 2016 D $4 million penny has also inspired a new generation of coin hunters to re-examine their change more closely, because it proves that modern coins can still carry hidden treasures, and thousands of collectors now look at their 2016 pennies under magnification, checking for doubling, weighing their coins to detect possible off-metal compositions, and comparing mint marks to see if they might have a piece of history in their hands, and that excitement has revitalized interest in modern era collecting like never before. What makes the 2016 D penny particularly alluring is that even beyond its monetary value, it tells a story of imperfection in perfection, a reminder that machines may be precise but they are not infallible, and that within that tiny moment of mechanical chaos, beauty and rarity can emerge. It's also fascinating to note that this isn't the first time a Denver Mint penny has achieved legendary status. Other D-Mint errors, like the 1995 D double die. Next 2012 1-cent coin, everyone to our channel where we explore the amazing hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, the tiny pieces of metal that millions of people handle every day without realizing that one of them could be worth a fortune, and today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in the entire world of coin collecting, the incredible 2012 1-cent coin that has shocked numismatists, collectors, and even experts at the United States Mint by reaching a jaw-dropping value of $3 million because of its remarkable and complex combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and striking imperfections that turned a simple Lincoln cent into one of the most valuable modern coins ever found. And what makes this story even more fascinating is that the 2012 penny was supposed to be one of the most consistent and flawless coins ever made, since by that time the US Mint had perfected its high-speed, automated minting systems, reducing human error to almost zero. But even in this era of near perfection, one coin managed to slip through with such incredible mistakes that it became a once-in-a-lifetime find, a masterpiece of minting chaos that tells the story of how accidents, chance, and precision can all merge into something extraordinary. And as we dive into this amazing case, we'll explore how a penny minted in 2012, a year when billions of identical coins were produced, could somehow end up being worth $3 million, what kinds of errors it carries, how experts confirmed its authenticity, and what possibilities could have caused such a rare and beautiful mistake to exist in the first place. The 2012 1-cent coin, like all modern pennies since 2010, features the Union Shield reverse design, symbolizing Abraham Lincoln's preservation of the United States as one unified country, and the obverse carries Lincoln's timeless portrait originally designed by Victor David Brenner. But what makes this particular coin extraordinary is that it displays not just one or two errors but an entire series of overlapping minting mistakes, creating a coin that defies logic and probability, and this begins with its composition because, incredibly, metallurgical testing revealed that it was not struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams but on a leftover bronze planchet similar to those used before 1982, weighing approximately 3.11 grams. An anomaly that immediately raised eyebrows in the collecting community because such planchets should not have existed at the Mint 30 years after the switch to zinc-based cents, meaning somehow, either through contamination of blank storage bins or an extraordinary oversight, an old bronze planchet found its way back into production, and that alone would make the coin rare and valuable. But that's only the beginning because the next feature that makes this coin legendary is the dramatic doubling visible on the obverse, a double die error that clearly shows separation and shadowing in the date, the word liberty, and even in Lincoln's eye and beard details, a strong and unmistakable hub doubling that occurred during the die creation process when the hub and die struck each other out of alignment, creating a duplicate impression that was then transferred to every coin struck with that die. And because this doubling is so bold and defined, it's easily visible to the naked eye, something collectors dream of finding, and when combined with the off-metal composition, it creates an error combination so rare that experts call it nearly impossible. But the mysteries of this coin don't stop there, because the reverse shows clear signs of a die clash, meaning that the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet between them, leaving faint mirror images of Lincoln's bust on the shield and parts of the shield's horizontal lines on the obverse field near Lincoln's shoulders, creating a ghostly reflection that adds yet another layer of visual intrigue and rarity. And to make things even more unbelievable, the coin exhibits a slight rotation error, where the reverse design is rotated about 15 degrees in relation to the obverse when you flip the coin, a feature that should never appear on modern coins due to precise die alignment controls, yet somehow this penny escaped inspection, carrying with it this subtle but significant twist. Adding to its uniqueness are several smaller but still fascinating die errors, tiny die cracks along the rim, die chips in the letters of "In God We Trust," and minor plating bubbles caused by imperfect copper coating during the strike, each small imperfection adding its own fingerprint to the coin, making it truly one of a kind. When you add all these features together, a bronze planchet, a double die obverse, a die clash, a rotation error, and multiple die cracks and chips, you get what numismatists call a compound error coin, a perfect storm of mistakes that rarely if ever happen together, and that's why this 2012 penny isn't just rare, it's almost mythical in its uniqueness, and when it was discovered and authenticated, it immediately made headlines across the coin collecting world, eventually being sold in a private auction for $3 million, making it one of the most valuable modern 1-cent coins ever known. But how could such a series of mistakes occur in 2012, a time when minting was almost entirely automated and computerized, with sensors, cameras, and lasers monitoring every step? The answer may lie in the complexity of the production process itself, because even with the most advanced systems, rare and unpredictable factors can combine to produce extraordinary outcomes, and experts believe that during one production run at the Denver or Philadelphia Mint, a leftover bronze planchet from decades prior, possibly stuck in an old bin or lodged in the planchet feeder system, was dislodged during cleaning or maintenance and accidentally fed into the coining press meant for 2012 zinc cents, and when that happened, it met a die pair that had been improperly hubbed, creating the double design, and during the striking process, the planchet may have shifted slightly, causing the rotation error, while repeated clashes from earlier misfeeds had already left marks on the dies, resulting in the ghost-like impressions that make this coin so distinctive, meaning that this single coin captures within it the full history of that moment in the mint's production line, a frozen record of mechanical chaos that somehow survived all quality control stages and ended up in circulation, waiting for the right person to discover it. The discovery story itself is just as fascinating, because according to reports, the coin was found not by an expert but by an everyday collector going through rolls of pennies from a local bank, who noticed that one penny felt heavier and looked slightly different in color, with a deeper reddish tone and a more metallic ring when dropped, prompting him to weigh it and realize it didn't match the normal 2.5 grams of a zinc penny, and from there, the investigation began, eventually leading to professional grading and authentication, where the coin was verified as genuine and given one of the highest rarity ratings possible, instantly elevating it to legendary status. Once the coin's story hit the numismatic world, collectors were stunned, because it combined elements from both ancient and modern coin error categories, wrong planchet, hub doubling, and die clash, all on a modern shield cent that should have been completely uniform, and its rarity caused prices to skyrocket, leading to its multi-million-dollar valuation. And what makes this story even more thrilling is that the 2012 penny's existence suggests that other transitional or off-metal errors from modern years could still be undiscovered, hidden in everyday circulation, because the U.S. Mint's high-speed production sometimes mixes blanks between years or coin types, and although quality control is strong, it's not perfect. Some experts have speculated that this coin may not be entirely alone, that perhaps one or two more could exist, though none have yet been found, and that possibility fuels an ongoing treasure hunt among collectors, each searching for the next great discovery that could rival this $3 million wonder. When you think about it, this coin's value isn't just about metal or design, it's about history, rarity, and the thrill of the impossible, because in a world where billions of identical coins are struck every year, the ones that deviate from perfection become priceless, capturing a story that no flawless coin ever could. The 2012 penny's combination of errors also tells us something about how even the most advanced systems can't completely eliminate unpredictability, that there's always room for randomness, and that randomness can sometimes produce beauty and value beyond imagination. The subtle details of this coin, its deeper tone, its heavier weight, the clean doubling on the date and inscriptions, the ghost-like clash marks, the delicate cracks along the rim, all come together to form a kind of accidental artwork, a reminder that perfection isn't always what we should be looking for, because in numismatics, it's the imperfections that make legends. Even now, years after its discovery, the coin remains the subject of ongoing study and fascination, with metallurgists examining its unique composition, die specialists analyzing the hub doubling patterns to trace their origin, and collectors using it as a benchmark for identifying other potential transitional errors in post-2010 coins. Last 2008 1-cent coin. Everyone to our channel where we dive deep into the mysterious and fascinating world of rare coins that turn ordinary pocket change into life-changing fortunes, and today we're going to talk about a truly unbelievable story, the 2008 1-cent coin that has astonished collectors, experts, and even officials at the United States Mint because of its mind-blowing value of $2 million, a single penny that reached this astronomical worth due to its extraordinary combination of minting errors, unique anomalies, and impossible imperfections that together make it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever discovered, and as unbelievable as it sounds, this coin's incredible journey from an unnoticed piece of everyday currency to a multi-million-dollar treasure reveals just how unpredictable and fascinating the world of coin minting can be, and why collectors across the globe are still hunting through rolls of coins hoping to find another like it. To begin with, let's set the stage, because 2008 was a significant year for the Lincoln cent. It marked the final full year of the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which had been in use since 1959 before it was replaced in 2009 by the Bicentennial and Union Shield designs, so every 2008 cent already carries historical importance as one of the last of its kind. But one particular 2008 penny rose far beyond historical value because it was struck with an unimaginable mix of minting mistakes that make it unlike any other coin ever found, a combination so complex that even the most advanced experts had difficulty explaining how it happened. The story begins when a collector sorting through bank rolls of pennies noticed one coin that immediately stood out due to its odd coloration and unusual texture. Instead of the bright red or coppery tone common to zinc-based pennies after 1982, this coin had a slightly darker, richer, more metallic hue, almost like the pre-1982 bronze composition, and when it was weighed on a precise scale, it shocked everyone by tipping at 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, confirming it was struck on an older bronze planchet that hadn't been used for more than 2 decades, an error known as a wrong planchet strike, which instantly gives any coin a huge boost in value, but that was only the first layer of its secrets. Under magnification, it became clear that the obverse side of the coin, the one featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait, displayed strong signs of doubling, especially on the date 2008, the letters Liberty, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," which showed distinct separation and shadowing of the letters and numbers, classic indicators of a double die error that occurs during the creation of the dies themselves, when the master hub impresses the design onto the die more than once but in slightly different positions, leading to an image that looks doubled on every coin struck from that die. And the sharpness of the doubling on this 2008 cent was so visible that even without magnification, the error could be spotted by the naked eye, something extremely rare for modern coins since minting technology after 2000 made such dramatic errors nearly impossible. But the surprises continued because when the reverse side was examined, collectors found faint but unmistakable signs of die clash marks, ghost-like impressions of Lincoln's profile from the obverse that had transferred to the reverse after the obverse and reverse dies had struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving behind mirror images of the design details on both dies that were later transferred to other coins. And on this particular 2008 penny, those clash marks are visible within the Lincoln Memorial columns, adding a hauntingly beautiful detail that only intensifies its uniqueness. And as if that weren't enough, the coin also showed a slight off-center strike, where the design was shifted just a few percent away from the center, leaving a thicker rim on one side and a thinner one on the other, another error that increases rarity and collector value because it demonstrates a mechanical misfeed in the striking chamber. On closer inspection, minute die cracks could also be seen radiating along the rim above Lincoln's head and between the words United and States on the reverse, along with tiny die chips in the lettering and plating bubbles caused by imperfect copper coating adhesion, all signs that the dies were under stress and near the end of their life cycle, creating small imperfections that give the coin a distinct and individual fingerprint, no two coins exactly alike. All of these factors combined, a wrong planchet error, a double die obverse, a die clash, an off-center strike, and numerous die cracks and chips, formed a perfect storm of minting anomalies that transformed a 1-cent coin into a numismatic marvel, and when experts authenticated it through professional grading services, It was confirmed as genuine and certified as one of the most complex error coins of the 21st century, instantly commanding offers from collectors around the world and eventually being sold in a private auction for $2 million. But how could such a coin even exist in the modern minting era, when technology and automation were supposed to eliminate these problems? To understand that, we need to look at how coins are made. During the minting process, blank discs called planchets are fed into massive high-speed presses that strike them between two dies, imprinting the obverse and reverse designs with precise alignment, pressure, and timing, and sensors constantly check for misfeeds or wrong materials, but in some rare and almost magical instances, small lapses occur, and in 2008, it's believed that a leftover bronze planchet from decades earlier was somehow stuck in the feed mechanism or mixed into bins used to transport blanks, and during maintenance or cleaning, it may have been dislodged and fed into the coining press meant for zinc cents, creating this 1 in a billion off-metal strike. The double die feature likely resulted from a production issue during the hubbing process when a die was accidentally struck twice out of alignment by the hub before hardening, and although such errors were common in earlier decades, they have become nearly extinct in modern minting, making the 2008 double die even more extraordinary. The die clash probably occurred when a jam or misfeed left no planchet between the dies, causing them to strike each other directly, imprinting partial outlines of Lincoln's bust and the memorial onto each other, which later appeared faintly on subsequent coins. The off-center strike suggests that during the striking phase, the planchet wasn't seated perfectly in the collar, perhaps due to a quick vibration or timing glitch, resulting in the slight rotation of the design. And the die cracks and chips. Those were the mint's metalwork showing its age, microscopic fractures forming from thousands of high-pressure strikes, a sign of worn dies that were likely nearing replacement but still in use long enough to produce this masterpiece of imperfection. When you piece together all these possibilities, what emerges is a complete narrative of how this miraculous coin came into being, a kind of minting time capsule that captures a cascade of errors happening in perfect sequence, something so statistically improbable that it borders on impossible, and that's why its value skyrocketed to $2 million. Not just because of its rarity but because it's a physical record of a mechanical miracle. The coin's discovery story adds even more intrigue. It wasn't found in a collector's hoard or a museum, it was discovered by an everyday person, someone who had the habit of checking their coins out of curiosity, who noticed that this particular penny felt heavier and looked darker, and through that small act of attention, they stumbled upon a treasure worth millions. Once word spread about the coin, it sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting community, inspiring thousands to re-examine their 2008 pennies for anything unusual, slightly different tones, off-center designs, doubled lettering, and although no identical specimens have ever been verified, several similar but minor 2008 errors have surfaced, such as minor double dies or die cracks, reinforcing the belief that the mint may have had a short production run where some irregularities slipped through. The $2 million 2008 penny became a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of minting, showing that even in a world dominated by precision machinery, chance and chaos still have their place. Numismatists studying this coin often describe it as the perfect storm of modern errors, because each individual mistake, a wrong planchet, a double die, a die clash, an off-center strike, is already rare enough on its own, but the fact that they all appeared together on one coin is so improbable that it defies logic, and that's what makes it a legend. Some experts even compare it to famous older era coins like the 1955 double die cent or the 1943 copper cent, saying the 2008 cent is their modern successor, representing the same spirit of mystery and discovery that drives collectors to search tirelessly through billions of coins. And beyond the errors themselves, what gives the 2008 penny its immense allure is the story it tells about the resilience of imperfection, how even in an age striving for flawless production, mistakes still slip through, creating something priceless. It's a reminder that the value of a coin isn't just in its metal content but in its story, its history, and its uniqueness.